What was the hardest truth in those years
Mm.
that you learned about yourself that looking back, you're like, yeah, that was a really hard truth to learn that this piece of me is there that, that you've now integrated. You know what I mean? Like what really hard, like what's the hard truth about you that you had to own, but,
Mm.
and heal from?
Um, so I think the thing that I wrestled with and struggled with for the longest time was not facing grief head on
Mm-hmm.
and facing and like after my mom died. I mean, I didn't come to faith until I was 25. And so like after my mom died, like I had no emotional, spiritual, mental tools or anything to deal with that grave of a loss. And so I found comfort in the I'm fine, everything is fine. I'm just going to look great. And I'm going to just focus on helping everybody else and I'm going to be fine and I'm going to like find identity and purpose and meaning in that. And so that was like that is how I operated for a really long time. And so I suppressed anger, I suppressed grief, I suppressed any negative emotion, and I used humor as a coping mechanism. I used that's I was doing comedy 4 or 5 nights a week, and I was on stage and I was making people laugh, and I was going home at night considering how I was going to kill myself. So like, and that was, I had to face that head on, and that is like a really dark place to be, and to heal from. And then when I then experienced deep grief while walking with the Lord, I got like slapped in the face with kind of that. I feel like I have to caveat this, but like, I don't claim to hear like a still, like the audible voice of God, but like I got slapped in the face by the Holy Spirit, just going, okay, so you're grieving right now. Like you have two choices in this. You can do the thing that you've done before, which is like suppress it, hide it, make everybody think you're fine. Like you can run from me, you can blame everybody else, like you can blame me, God, like you can, all of it. Or you can humble yourself and you can understand that the only way out of this is through it, and to like surrender all of it at the feet of Jesus. Like that was essentially the two choices that I got. And he's like, but you did the other thing before and that ended you in a really dark place. So like, are you going to go through the hard thing now? And so because the other way, it feels easier in the moment to just be like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. We're all fine. It's actually much harder to face it head on and do the actual work to process the grief, to process the hard thing, and to come out on the other side stronger. So I'd say that was by far the hardest thing for me, was to actually ask for help. Like for an Enneagram 2 to say, I need help, I am not okay, is incredibly difficult, because that was
Yes.
never something I ever had done before. I was just the one that I was the one that helped everybody else. And I needed to look like I did not need help. And so for me to get to a point where I had to look at my husband and say, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And I need help and I need to go to counseling. That was one of the most difficult. And that's why I think I never went to counseling before. It's because I didn't need help. I need help. I help everybody else.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? I asked you earlier if you ever deny vulnerable emotions. Like I said, shame, I said fear, despair. And it's interesting that you were like, no, I don't. I think what you meant to say was, it's so you can, maybe you've arrived at that place now, but you just described someone who denied
Yeah.
vulnerable
Oh, you're
emotions
right.
for a
You're
long
absolutely
time.
right. You're